This is the testimony of extensive reports and personal testimony from many people in Pakistan as well as Afghanistan. The drones do make noise, some of them. They do sit up in the sky for long periods of time, buzzing. It's traumatic, and it's offensive to people that it's a robot and that it can stay there that long. I mean, it ought not to matter to us whether we murder people with a manned aircraft or an unmanned aircraft or a vial of poison. Murder is murder, but it is offensive to people, and it is traumatizing to people to have this robot that can stay up in the sky for so long, buzzing up there, able to eliminate their lives in a given instant, and they don't know when that instant is coming. It's traumatizing even to those not killed or wounded.
How do you think Dr. King would assess Barack Obama on the grounds of U.S. violence, the biggest purveyor of violence?
Under President Obama, we've seen a dramatic increase in the sales of U.S.-made weapons to dictatorships and so-called democracies alike around the world. We're at about 85% of foreign weapon sales coming out of the United States. These are sales to countries that are at war with other countries we're selling to. These are sales to countries engaged in human rights abuses that it is illegal under our own domestic law to sell to. And these are countries that will inevitably be at war at some future point with U.S. soldiers. The United States is selling tear gas as we speak to nations repressing pro-democracy, nonviolent activists, including in places like Bahrain, where the United States has a naval fleet parked, but a dictatorship is cracking down on nonviolent pro-democracy activists, and leading that effort is a former police chief from the United States. I think I have to assume that Dr. King would make no distinction based on party or skin color, would in fact choose to look at the content of one's character and find the current president lacking. Dr. King was not a serious activist by today's standards, where we're told the only way to be a serious activist is to engage in electioneering for candidates. He never endorsed anybody. He never bought into that. He never would have wanted to turn out a bigger crowd than any activist movement has seen this decade for the purpose of celebrity gawking and cheering for the re-election of someone who has met none of our demands for the past 4 years. I have to assume that Dr. King, were he 84 and alive and well, would be here with us, or would be engaged in activism that's going on around this country, where people are going after fossil fuel consumption, are going after the bases where these drones are flown, and where people are under the radar of the corporate media going to prison for significant lengths of time voluntarily for non-violently protesting this war-making at U.S. military bases.